The 27th of March, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos, Pesach.
Okay, very good. Thank you. As Long mentioned, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst, Yeshiva Tzemach Yerushalayim Zoom. Several weeks before Pesach, we're preparing, learning the Haggadah. Our first year now. We are in the uh, Haggadah in Magid, and I think let's see, we got up to page. We should be on page 5, and
I think at the very top.
yes, I believe so. Correct. Okay. Yeah. Would like to read, can you like you can begin?
Okay. Say ulamad ma bikesh Lavan ha'arami la'asos li Yaakov Avinu. Go and learn what uh, Lavan, the Aramite, the Aramean, sought to do to our father Yaakov. Shiparo lo gazar ella al hazicharim v'lavan bikesh la'akor es hakol. Whereas Paro only decreed against the males, Lavan sought to uproot everybody. Shne'emar, as it says.
Okay, but let's see. Before we get to the pasuk, let's say I just want to recap. We mentioned yesterday we were asking on the Hisham the Lamosenu Lanu Shalu Echad Bilbad Amdalenu Shilkolosenu should be called over the Omdi Malenu Kalasenu. Kadosh Baruch Hu Matzenu Miyadam. And the example, the first example is here from Laban, right? So I
Right.
began to explain that what is this point that we called over door that the Omdi Maleno that we discussed? Is this because of what we did wrong, and we're so obviously we're always doing things wrong, and obviously Has v'Sholom, the Kaloseno, that's a very serious thing. The Kaloseno, it's not just I'm getting punished. It's the Kaloseno is a very serious thing, like Haman wanted to do what the Nazis and Mom wanted to do, like the mom is the Coliseum, and it's been called over door. So we were discussing this, and I was saying this is where we left off. Um, the prophet says that we Christ are like one sheep surrounded by 70 wolves, right?
Right.
So besides being a prophecy, which is a communication from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to us in the way that he wanted the Navi to express it, if you look at the basis of the uh, situation, right? That lamb is wolf food, meaning the wolves prey on lambs. That's their diet, right?
Right.
Wolves, they could probably catch snakes and frogs, but they're probably not going to be too happy with a snake or a frog, right, Lou?
Right. I certainly wouldn't be so happy with a snake or a frog, but a lamb
Right.
is very, very enticing.
Yeah, that's you got something going there. It's not. It's first of all, it's not. It's not cold blooded. It's warm blooded. It's everyone likes warm food, right? So
Absolutely.
so so the way I see it is that the Omdileno Coliseum B'Kol Dur B'Dur, meaning this is part of the way that a Kadosh Baruch Hu created things in the existence, that we, so to speak, Klal are the prey. We're the diet of the non-Jews. Now that sounds like a very strange and weird kind of a concept, that we're the diet, the prey of the non-Jews. But again, we're trying to explain what does it mean. Amdu Lena B'Kol Dor V'Dor L'Chalosenu. What is going on here? That it seems like a very extreme type of a life situation. Each generation, you've got to always be concerned about who's gonna come after you, which is basically what Jews have to do. But again, nevertheless, the Kadosh Baruch Hu saves us. But for some reason, the goyim have been given a diet of and an interest in a taiva of wanting Jews, just like, so to speak, the wolves are very interested in getting that land. So, well, it's almost irregardless as to whether or not we did anything right or anything wrong. Just like, for example, the first example that we give here, that Laban went chasing after Yaakov. And even though those he was chasing after his grandchildren, he was chasing after his own daughters, right? But he wanted to eliminate everything, and nothing stopped him, nothing except the Kadosh Baruch Hu came to him in a dream and said, "You better watch out! Don't you try and do anything. Toiv l'ra. Don't even try anything good to Yaakov. Just leave him be, stay out of his life." And Laban was smart enough to do that. So. And then you see that according to those Chazals that Lavan eventually turned into Bilam, right? So Bilam also he didn't give up after hundreds of years. Bilam didn't give up after hundreds of years. So it's a strange concept to think that we are the prey, the diet for the non-Jews, but that's one way of explaining why is it seemingly so strange that why should that absolutely be? Now, there's a an additional point to be made here is that part of what's happening is that Hakadosh Baruch Hu was Matzi Leinu Miyadam, right? Hashem comes to our aid each and every time, each and every generation. Hashem comes to our aid, and He saves us from their hands. So that's a tremendous reason for us to give thanks and praise to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, which is basically the main purpose of Haggadah the living Chabiyomahu, the reason that why we have the mitzvah of Leil Seder, that we say over the Haggadah, because you want to emphasize our debt of gratitude to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore the debt of gratitude doesn't stem simply from what happened historically, thousands of years in Egypt. No, it extends to each and every generation. Each and every generation we have that fresh and new obligation to give praise and thanks to Hakadosh Baruch Hu for what He did in terms of saving us from all our very hungry enemies. And as that's the way the universe, the existence seems to be established. And beyond that, we're supposed to not only we're supposed to thank Hakadosh Baruch Hu on what He did for us in the past, but since we see Hakadosh Baruch Hu is so ever loving towards Klal Yisrael, He's so all powerful, and He's so interested in helping Klal Yisrael. And besides our thanks and praise to Kadosh Baruch Hu over what happened in the past, we are obligated to ask Kadosh Baruch Hu to continue to do those things in the future. So we're gonna look as we go further on in the Haggadah, where is this fulfillment of the obligation to ask of Kadosh Baruch Hu, meaning as now that He's done such wonderful things for us, He saved us from our enemies. So don't stop there by simply thanking Kadosh Baruch Hu and praising Kadosh Baruch Hu. No, you see that He's all powerful. You see He's all merciful. He cares so much about you. So open your mouths and cry for Him to help you further in all things. And you know He's all powerful. You know He's all merciful towards you. So make a good use of that opportunity, and cry out to Kadosh Baruch Hu. He wants us to cry out to Him. He wants us to ask Him for our salvation, to ask Him for the fulfillment of all our needs, in addition to praising Him and thanking Him. So as we go further on in the Haggadah, let's try and look for where there will be times and statements made that we can understand them in terms of our fulfillment of the obligation of asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do more and better for us. Okay, good. Let's continue though. Okay,
I wanted to make a comment or ask a question on what you were just
sure,
saying.
sure.
Um, Based on a theory I have that I think maybe there's a natural extension to the spiritual. Um, what am I talking about? So I remember um, reading a news story about the fight against polio in I think it was of Afghanistan, uh, somewhere where there's an insurgency and there's an anti Western philosophy among the insurgents, among the rebels,
Right.
and so there were volunteers who were who had gone to this country and to fight polio, and they were trying to vaccinate children, uh, poor, particularly poor children in the countryside who were vulnerable and who were getting polio, even though polio was pretty much eradicated across the world um, by vaccinations, but there were pockets. And this was very significant because not only because of the danger to the lives and the suffering of the the people who were in these countries, but because as long as there's pockets of polio here and there, there can be resurgences. And the
Right.
article was talking about how they had found traces of polio in the sewers in Israel,
Wow.
and they tracked it down that the travelers, carry the polio, and it gets into the sewers in Israel and other places where it's been eradicated, and then it comes back. So it's a worldwide problem, and I was thinking about it that and what happened was these insurgents, these rebels, did not trust the medical people who were giving the vaccines. They thought they were spies, and they thought that they were using this as an excuse to do whatever bad things they spies do, and so they killed them, and and that put a stop to the polio fight. And so I was thinking about this situation where it's a lack of trust uh, uh, between the different countries that is causing this terrible situation. And I developed a metaphor in my mind about this that it's like Hashem created the world in such a way that there are impediments. There are things that we have to fight against, like polio. Um, and Hashem says, so to speak, I gave you this wonderful world with all of the resources you need to be able to have a wonderful life, accomplish anything you want. But in order to do so, you've got to work together. You've got to form a society as individuals. If you take an individual and you put him in the wilderness by himself, he's not going to last very long. he's going to be dead at most within a year. He'll be dead because we can't survive against all of the problems that are in the world. Um, but if you took 100 people and you put them in the wilderness, they would survive as long as they work together, as long as they immediately said, okay, listen, we got to work together, we got to build, we got to form a society, we have to have laws, we have to, do all this stuff in order to be able to overcome the environment. They would be able to survive very well. So it would seem that if a person was to complain and was to say, Hashem, why did you create this terrible disease, this polio that kills children and paralyzes children, who didn't do anything wrong? So Hashem could answer and say, listen, I gave you everything you need to be able to eradicate polio. All you got to do is get along with each other and cooperate, build a society, build a medical establishment, develop a vaccine, and go around and give the vaccine to everybody. And the same thing with every problem that exists in the world. If everybody in the world were doing what Hashem says to do, every Jew was keeping the Torah properly, and every non-Jew was keeping the 7 laws, there would be tremendous wealth, tremendous societal structures, and tremendous medical capabilities that would overcome all of the problems. We'd have no problems at all.
Right. I'm not sure. Do you have a copy of the Sefer Chavos Levavos, The Duties of Our Heart?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. Let's see, I don't have it here in this room, but I do have it, yeah.
Yeah, if you have a copy of that, I want to direct your attention to one of the chapters and subsections there, because there he goes into a very specific conceptual understanding of what you're saying over here. So I mean, I don't mind if you want to take a look at it now. Mary, do you have a copy of Avos Levavos nearby?
Yeah, I just have to go to the other room to get it.
Okay,
I'll see if I can get mine too.
Okay, if it's in one volume, you're okay. If it's in 2 volumes, bring both volumes because I'm not sure where it'll be in your
Okay.
individual
Okay.
volumes.
You know where we have duties of the heart on these minutes? Have you read it?
Duties of the heart. You probably do it if I have it. Do you have it?
I think you have it. I'm pretty sure you have it.
This is right in the sign. Picture saying that. It's the path of the just.
Ah.
One other things. Who wrote Duties of the Heart? Who wrote it? There's another volume of the same person. I think.
Unfortunately, I can't find it. Did you find it?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, so maybe if Mayor would like to read now, Havas and Levavas um, was uh, was written almost uh, thousand thousand years ago, 1,000 years ago. And the section the sections you want is the Shor Cheshbon HaNefesh. That should be in the toward the middle for the second half of the Sefer Cheshbon HaNefesh. It's the eighth. It's the eighth of 10 major sections.
Okay, Heshbon B'Nefesh, the eighth. That's the gate of self-accounting.
Right, exactly. Beautiful, perfect.
Okay, 665.
You got another copy of Path of the Trusted? Strong fisheries. Yeah.
Right, sure. Heshbon HaNefesh. Okay.
Okay, if you would go to uh if you would go to the 22nd uh Cheshbon.
Okay, hold on. The 22nd. Well, I don't know. This is numbered though.
Probably it starts a few chapters into that from that section. It's probably starting about the third or fourth section of that chapter. Fairly lengthy.
Okay. And what was I looking for again, Rabbi?
You're looking in section number 8, which is Shara Cheshbon Nefesh. You're looking for Perik Gimel, the third chapter in that
Oh, the
section.
third chapter. Okay, let's see. Self-accounting, chapter 3.
Okay, now, there should be approximately 30 different subsections there. You want the 22nd subsection.
Okay, 1 second.
Let's see. Um, let's see, 1 second. Maybe Lou, I can send you a link where you can get an English translation on there for you. But we'll see. Let me see.
Oh, but I got 24. I have 21.
The English is duties of the heart, right?
Yes,
That's right.
21.
Okay.
Oh, 22. Okay.
Okay. So now let me just give you an introduction of what's going on here. as I said, the Sefer Chavos Avos was in perhaps it could be a good 1,000 years ago. I think it was written in Spain, and so it's one of the uh, primary classic uh, sources of our basic outlook and philosophies. So in this, it's made of 10 basic sha'arim, 10 basic sections. And as we said, this is the eighth of the 10 sections. And the different sections are broken down into sub chapters and subsections. So this is the section on Cheshbon Nefesh, which is there are 30 different spiritual accountings that were directed to try and accomplish uh, exactly when and how often you're supposed to do those things. That's technical. We're not going to go into that right now. Um, but uh, but suffice it to say, for what we need for now, these cheshbon nefesh, which are spiritual um, accountings, meaning a person, for example, a person has a business, so he wants to take inventory. He wants to evaluate his business strategies, his financial strategies. A person takes seriously his businesses. So therefore, person needs to take accounting from time to time on a regular or semi-regular schedule about what's going on with his business. Likewise, we're supposed to do that with our lives. We're supposed to do that with our lives as well. As a matter of fact, it's much more serious that we do a spiritual accounting for our lives because okay, a person is not careful with his business, so he loses his money, but a person is not careful with his ruchnius, he suffers for Has Shalom forever and ever. So this is the 20 uh, second of the 30, right?
Right.
Here we oh good. I'm gonna send you I'm gonna try and send you a link to where you can go and get this. Oh, hold on, let's see. Okay, good, Lou. I'm going to send you a link. You maybe be able to join up with this in English there too. It's Hebrew and English.
Okay, yeah, I found an English rendition of it, but it doesn't have the markations that you mentioned. It doesn't show like chapters and subsections. So it's hard to find where it is in. I see section 8, but it's hard to find where it is inside.
Does it have
Yeah,
page numbers, Lou?
No,
No, no. Okay.
no,
Look, you can
it
see.
has
I just sent you a
little
link.
dots for where the paragraphs are, but
That's
the
not
dots are
helping.
not
See if
labeled.
you I sent you a link. I sent you a link. See if you can go into that link, and it should be directed
Okay,
to
I'm
the
looking for it. Send it to my Gmail address, Rabbi.
Yes, I believe I did. Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for it.
Um, or maybe even better yet. 1 second.
Maybe you should go ahead and start reading it, and I'll keep looking to see if I get it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll even do better. Maybe I can copy and paste what we need. But yeah, let's begin. And I think that's best thing. Maybe copy and paste this.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, Lou, I sent you I'm sending you an email with text. You'll be able to see it right away now. Just open up that email and you'll be able to see the text. Okay.
Yeah, so far I have not gotten anything.
No, okay.
Ah, here it is. Okay, I see the text. 22nd, the 22nd it starts off with.
Okay. Fine. Mayor, you'd like to read? You can read, Mayor, if you like.
Okay, it says, one should make an accounting with himself of his involvement with other people in what pertains to the general welfare, plowing and reaping, buying and selling, and other ways in which people are mutually helpful in creating a healthy society, and consider that he should desire for them what he would desire for himself in these matters, loath for them to suffer what he would loathe for himself, emphasize with them, not empathy, empathize with them, and do all that he can to shield them from what might harm them, as is written, love your neighbor like yourself. An analogy to this is the following. Think of a group of people who set out for a distant land on a difficult road. They will have to camp at many stations along the way, and they have with them many beasts loaded with heavy burdens. The people are few in number, and each has in charge his charge many beasts, which he must load and unload frequently. If they help each other in the loading and unloading, and the desire of each of them is to further the welfare and ease the burden of all of them, and they share equally in rendering help and assistance, then they will be in excellent shape. But if they are divisive and do not cooperate, and each one tries to further his own selfish interests, most of them will grow weary and falter. For this reason, my brother, the world becomes wearisome to its inhabitants, and their toil and trouble are increased, because everyone concerns himself only with his own lot and seeks more than his allotted portion. And because they demand of the world more than is their due, and seek in it what is not theirs, the world denies them their due, and does not provide them with their share. As a result, they are not satisfied with the world, and there is not one among them who does not complain and whine about it. Because they seek luxuries, the world denies them basic necessities and grants these only after much trouble and exertion. If they would be content with what suffices for their basic needs, if they would all strive for common good and share the same conditions, they would overcome all obstacles in this world and attain even more than they desire. Yet, not only do they not help each other in their worldly interests, but they hinder one another. Each one obstructs his friends and cripples his efforts, so that not one of them attains what he seeks or fulfills his desire. Therefore, my brother, you should endeavor to acquire faithful colleagues and true friends who will help you in your religious and secular pursuits, as you are wholehearted and true toward them. They should be as dear to you as your own soul when you find among them those who are worthy of this sentiment. Do not, however, confide your secrets to anyone but the choicest of your choice friends. As Ben Sira said, many will wish you well, but confide your secret only 1 in 1,000. And as the wise one said, oil and incense gladden the heart, so confiding in one's friend for earnest counsel. And that's from Mishlei. And that's the end of that section.
Okay.
Okay, so this
Yeah,
is
very good.
this is very much along the lines of what I was saying. This is very good. Thank you, Rabbi. I appreciate your finding this. So to extend the metaphor, perhaps if one were to say, why did you create it so that in every generation they rise up to destroy us? Perhaps Hashem would answer and say, it's because you're not doing what you should be doing. You should be a light into the nations. You should be davening the things that you read earlier. That if the Jewish people were doing what they should be doing, then the nations would not be rising up against us.
Right.
Right. That's true. That's true. As a matter of fact, if we were really doing what we were supposed to be doing, they would. The Medrash explains that if in two separate places, the Medrash Tanchuma says two separate places, that if the non-Jews knew how much they benefited from the Beis Hamikdash and the avoda of the Kohanim and the bringing of the Korbanos and all of the mitzvahs that were associated with the Beis Hamikdash, and also the Shechina was there and the avoda of the Kohanim and the Sanhedrin, if they knew how much they themselves benefited from the Beis Hamikdash, they would have sent soldiers, they would have sent armies to protect it from being destroyed. That's one statement the Medrash Tanchuma says. Another statement the Medrash Tanchuma says is if the non-Jews knew how much they benefit from each and every Jew learning Torah, learning Kadosh Baruch Hu's Torah, they would send 2 personal bodyguards to each Jew to make sure that he's never lacking and he's never lazy in his learning of Torah. You're right. If we are on the highest level of service to Kadosh Baruch Hu, the world would be filled with bracha and atzlacha. Simply, there would be a complete change in the natural order. You're right, correct.
So does that same Medrash discuss why it is that they don't know?
No, it doesn't go into to why they don't know. It could be. I would just say that Hashem's doesn't let them know, because if we would be forced to learn Torah, for example, under those circumstances, we would lose our bechira. We wouldn't have much of a free will choice in the matter, and that would take away. That would be a very serious deficit in our serving of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem wants us to do things because we understand and we make our own minds up to do it, because this is the way we're supposed to serve Hashem without coercion. If you have to be coerced into serving Hashem, it itself is, even though the dry actual deeds may be done, but they don't have the internal strength of the true mitzvahs that Hashem wants from us.
Oh, that makes the whole thing really complicated.
Yeah. Well, how is that?
Well, I mean, I'm saying that we could solve all these problems and we could make everything wonderful if we just did what we were supposed to be doing. But Hashem's not going to let us do that because it takes away our free will.
Well, I mean that's it. That was an answer to your question. Why don't the goyim know how valuable the base of Mikdash is, and why don't the goyim know how much the value of Torah is? So, because if they really knew, if they knew that it is to their absolute tremendous benefit, uh, so they themselves would uh, force us to do it against our will, and that would be in essence bad for us.
Right, right. That would be bad for us. That's what makes it. That's what I'm saying is the fly in the ointment. I mean, you don't have to go to the base of Mikdash. You can look at Israeli society today. We know that the learning of Torah is the most powerful antidote for the terrorists. That if the miracles that happen in the war to allow us to win against all of the odds that are, and the whole world being against us comes from the learning of Torah. But most of the Jewish people in Eretz Israel don't believe that. If we could just make it clear to them the truth of that, then all this controversy about the draft and everything would go away. And in fact, the government would be sending escorts to the yeshivas to make sure that everybody got in and got out at the proper time, and they'd be helping with monetary assistance to make sure that we had all the sparring we needed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, right. So, I'm just trying to answer. Could you maybe focus your question a little bit better, and I'll try and answer it more to the point.
Well, it's not really a question. It's just a statement that that we it's a statement in agreement with your point that you made about the non-Jews knowing of the benefit of the Beis Hamikdash. I'm saying if the people in general, the Jews and the non-Jews in Israel, knew of the benefit of the learning of Torah, that would solve a lot of our problems.
Right. So,
But the fact that they don't know it is I guess it's a what would you say? It's an indictment against us, against the Jewish people in general, that we're not making it clear to each other what the reality is.
uh, uh, the see, whenever everything has to be balanced. The Years ago, Rabbi Avidya Miller was asked the question that why is there so much atheism today? Why is there so much denial today? Right.
Right.
So he answered with in my opinion, an astounding answer. He said, because in our era, it's very hard to be a atheist. Very hard to be an atheist. If a person would take a real clear look at what science is telling you about how the molecular structure works, how the biological structures work, how the stellar cosmic structures work. If you really look at it with an unbiased mind, right, you would automatically and obviously come to the conclusion that this is the creation of a tremendous creator, infinite in his wisdom, right? And it's so clear through all the many different things that they're finding day by day. The more they investigate, the more wonders they find about the truth of Hashem's wisdom in creating the existence. So to balance that, there has to be kfira. There has to be all the very different concepts of kfir that exist in the world, and because that has to balance it. Because it would be unbalanced, there would again that the free will choice would be diminished. And again, the whole purpose of a person being brought into this world is that he should be able to receive a reward for his efforts in this world, basically, primarily to recognize and serve a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So if a person's going to be put in a situation where he's going to be coerced into recognizing a Kadosh Baruch Hu, which scientifically a person is almost coerced into believing in a Kadosh Baruch Hu because of all the scientific evidence, and also he's going to be coerced into serving a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? If that would exist, he would lose his opportunity for any self-made efforts to come to these conclusions on his own. Right? So it's the same way that the Gemara in Sanhedrin says, well, everything is really ready for Mashiach to come. Everything is really ready for Mashiach. Why does Kadosh Baruch Hu delay the Gullus? Why are we still delaying and remaining in Gullus? The answer the Gemara gives is because of reward. He wants to give reward to the Jewish people. So this is a very big question, because first of all, we're not supposed to be serving Kadosh Baruch Hu for reward, right? But even though we're not supposed to be serving Kadosh Baruch Hu for reward, the reward is our purpose in being here. We're in this world to receive a reward for our efforts to serve Hashem. And so therefore, if the mechanism of this universe would cease to provide us a way of receiving a reward for our service of Hashem, so the whole thing there's no need for its existence anymore.
So how does that work with with our understanding of the days of Mashiach, when everything will be revealed and the Yetzer Hara will go away? What's the point of us living in that environment for 1,000 years?
That's exactly right. That's why the pasuk says that Yomim Shem Bem Chayfetz. Those are the days where there's no desire, meaning desire. They understand it could desire meaning there's no Yetzer Hara, or there's no desire to rebel against the Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? But also there's no desire in a certain way, because there's no reward. You'll be in existence, but there's no reward. Just like the Malachim. The Malachim exist in the various spiritual spheres, the dimensions where they function, and they're not getting rewarded for what they do.
Right. But they exist, and they sing the praises of Hashem, and they have a wonderful existence.
Right. So that's enough. That's enough for them. For us, Hashem, He gave us free will. He gave us a mind. He gave us a Yetzer Hara and a Yetzer Tov, and He wants us to use all those things in combination with those things and many other things to come up to serve Him in a way that we're going to be rewarded for that service. Now, in the time of Mashiach, whenever that time actually begins to exist, So that type of avoda will cease to exist, and there will be a different type of avoda. Will be perhaps these are things which are very, very lofty, very big, and I know know very little, if nothing, about them at all. But those in that time, it could be we will simply also become like natural mechanisms, just like trees are natural mechanisms. They're programmed to do what they're supposed to do. The stars and the planets are programmed to do what they do, and the malachim also programmed and do what they do. We also could very well be simply just fulfilling our program to do what we have to do, and that's it. I don't know. It's these things you can't guess at these things. So but okay, it's a very big subject. If you want, you can pick it up from here tomorrow again if you want, but maybe we should take a little break now and learn some Mishnah Brewer in a few minutes. We'll take a little break if you don't mind. And but the questions are good questions, and that was I said. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says, look, everything's ready for Mashiach to come, so why is he waiting? Why are we waiting for Mashiach? And the answer the Gemara gives is reward. We're waiting, so we should get a reward. You know what? Forget about the reward. Keep the pocket change and send Mashiach.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
I don't know. I asked this question when I was learning with my Chavrusa in the Gemara, and he couldn't answer. We looked around, we didn't find an answer. So it's an amazing thing. Okay, we have to wait for Mashiach. Why do we have to wait for Mashiach? Because we have to get a reward. You know what? Like I say, keep the pocket change, and let's get on with the show. So anyway, it's supposed to, these things are supposed to open up our mind and help us, hopefully help us think more deeply into what we're doing and what in the world and in the spiritual world we live in the physical world we live in, and to reevaluate our service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu if we can and improve in some ways. So yeah, okay, so let's take a bit of a break and we'll continue with the Mishnah Berurah shortly. Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good,
Okay,
Lou. Very
thank
nice.
you, Mayor, for the reading. Thank you for the questions,
You're
Lou.
welcome.
We'll speak to you shortly.
Okay.